of, well, how do we find Gregor? And you know that Sam knows how, but doesn't really want to say. And Vincent is kind of getting upset because he's not being let in on it. And Sam says, okay, give me the number. I'll see what I can do. I think Gregor tries to sell the case to the Russians. There's a good scene where he gets the guy in the car, pats him down, finds a gun, and then they go to the playground. And he's looking at a little girl on the playground. He's going to shoot the little girl just to kind of prove the point that, I don't care. I'm willing to kill for the case, or to protect what's in the case, or to make sure it gets in the right hands. The highest bidder. And the guy that's in the car with him, the Russian guy, is almost appalled at the fact that he would shoot a child. Gregor just tells him, "Hey, I was willing to shoot the kid, and I don't even know her. What do you think I'll do to you?"
And then the Russian dude pulls a hidden gun on him.
Yeah, which was pretty smart. It's a funny little line, because Gregor was like, "Well, where were you hiding that?" But it was when he searched them the first time, he found the gun. But it was kind of like that was smart on the Russian guy's part, because it's, give him a gun that's easy to find, and then he probably won't be looking for another one.
Mm-hmm.
And that's exactly what he does. And the guy's got the gun on Gregor, and then Gregor does the thing where he hits the gas and then taps the brake really hard, so the guy gets thrown forward.
Yeah, he soccer moms him and then fucking shoots him in the head. And it's it's really graphic too.
He splatters his brains all over the window. Soccer moms him.
Yeah, because he's he knows he fucked up, and he's been outmatched, and then so he kind of cheats and he presses the acceleration. Just the way that whole plays out is just man, that was dumb, but
yeah,
it makes sense.
Well, he's strapped in. The other guy wasn't, because when he went to go put his seatbelt on is when Gregor searched him. Yeah. So he didn't have the seatbelt on eventually, or ultimately, I should say. And then we see Deidre and Vincent and Sam out on this town, kind of out to breakfast. And Sam's looking around, and he sees the guy, and he goes up and he talks to him, and he asks, "Hey, do you know where the post office is?" And the guy says, "Do I know you? Why would you come up to me, and how do you know I'm speaking English?" And Sam says, "Well, you're holding an English newspaper." The guy goes, "Oh, yeah, okay. And he, sits down, and he says, "Oh, if you want to look for the post office, you got to go down here," and all that. And then he turns to Sam and says, "Hey, I thought you left." So it's obviously someone that Sam knew in CIA. And Sam says, "I did leave, but I need your help finding somebody." So he gives the number to the guy, and then walks down the street to where Deidre and Vincent are in at the cafe. And then he gets a phone call while he's at the cafe, and the guy that he asked for the help with gives him the location of Gregor. So they know that he's where he is, and they go to find him. So they track Gregor to this amphitheater. There's Coliseum looking place, and Gregor's going to sell the case to the Russians. Vincent recognizes these Russians, and while they go in there to deal with it, Larry stays in the car. And then that's where we see Jonathan Pryce, who we have seen him before in the film. He had a brief scene with McElhone, where he gave her the information about the route that the case was going to be on. But then Jonathan Pryce comes up to Larry, starts asking him, about where something is. He wants to go to, I think, Van Gogh's house, he says. And then we cut back to the amphitheater. Gregor's talking to the Russians, And just as he's getting ready to sell the case, like, Sam comes up behind him and grabs him and takes him down. And then he keeps asking him, where the case is. Excuse me. He asks him where the case is, and just as some people come around the corner, Gregor makes a big scene and, runs off. There's Sam holding the gun, so all these people see the gun, and then, it starts chaos. And then the Russians get ambushed by Deirdre and Vincent. And as they're being marched up, one of the Russian guys, uses the diversion and pulls the gun and turns around and starts shooting at Deirdre and Vincent. And there's like more innocent people getting shot on the staircase. And it's always brutal just to see some unsuspecting, like, civilian get it. Sam fights with Gregor. And once the gunfire starts on the stairs, Sam kind of lets Gregor go and turns his attention back towards the staircase, and he goes to help out Vincent and Deirdre. Gregor takes off, goes to the car, and then is ambushed by Seamus, who is Jonathan Pryce's character. Ambushed by Seamus, who has killed Larry, unfortunately. And then Seamus wants to know where the case is, and you find out that Gregor actually mailed it to himself in Paris. So Deirdre goes running, gets into the car, finds out Larry's dead, sees Seamus in the back with Gregor, and then Seamus tells her to drive. So she takes off. Vincent goes and talks with the Russians, or catches up with the one Russian guy, and they recognize each other from, their time in the field. And the Russian guy is gonna kill Vincent. And just then Sam comes down and surprises him. And as the Russian guy turns, Vincent knocks his gun away, and the gun goes off, and there's a ricochet, and it hits Sam in the stomach. And then Vincent kills the Russian guy, and then they take off. It's chaos, and they have to steal a car to get out of there. But then while they're driving away from all that, Sam kind of realizes that Deirdre sold them out. She took off with Gregor and Seamus, left them there. And then he tells Vincent that we need to get to a hospital or, a veterinarian or something. I can steal what I need, but we need to do something because he's shot in the stomach or on the side, and he's bleeding. So Vincent says, "Hey, I can do you better. I'll take you to, this place I know." And it takes him to a friend of his that he knows. And then there's a pretty brutal scene where they have to remove the bullet, which is a really well done scene. And they have the mirror set up so that Sam can see what the wound is, and he tells him, Vincent and his friend Jean-Pierre tells him what to do and how to remove the bullet. And then once they're trying to get the bullet out, and he says, don't remove it unless you know that for a fact that you have a hold of it. And you see Vincent try once, and he fucks up, and it hurts just watching it.
Yeah, I felt it. I felt that.
And then you see the grimace on De Niro's face.
And then Vincent gets it on the second try, and then Sam, De Niro's character, grabs the shrapnel of the bullet, and he says, "That fucker sprayed it with Teflon or whatever," and I guess that's why it was able to penetrate his vest.
Yeah. The bullet is sprayed in Teflon, so it's more deadly. It's kind of like what's known as cop killers. Mm-hmm. like on the street, you know, because most police officers will wear a vest, but bullets, certain types of bullets are made to penetrate the vests, and that's exactly the type of bullet that the guy had in the gun. So yeah, after Sam examines it, he says, you know, he was trying to stamp me, and then he says, hey, can you guys stitch me up, because I'm going to pass out now. So Gregor, Seamus, and Deidre take Gregor back to Paris. Seamus starts beating on him. You know, we're going to get the case back from you. And then he's really upset with Deirdre for kind of letting things get out of hand. But she's like, the reason I'm doing this job is because you can't, because you're supposed to be in hiding. You know, you're the one that can't show your face. I'm the one doing this job. And the people that I hired are from your contact, so don't get mad at me. So they're waiting in Paris for the case to arrive at the post office. And then, you know, Sam and Vincent are at the guy's house recovering. And that's where Sam has the conversation with Jean-Pierre, who's making the model of the 47 Ronin. And that's where he tells them the story, and that's where the film kind of gets its title. Is he's talking about the masterless samurai and, you know, how they had hired themselves as mercenaries, which that is a true story, by the way. That story is true. It really did happen. But he's telling Sam about it, and then Sam is, you know, those guys chose wrong, you know. They should have taken the paycheck. I'm a man without a paycheck. But Jean-Pierre says, no, but you understand, you know, the battle, and you understand that there's something greater than all this. And this is what the samurai learned, is they could have survived. They could have stayed alive. They could have hired themselves out to other masters. But once they avenged their master, you know, they committed ritual suicide, because their
is that what?
Yes, seppuku.
Mm-hmm.
Their fight was over. They did their job, and then they were going to die with honor and dignity as part of the warrior code, that samurai code. But it's a good story that Jean-Pierre tells them, and Sam's reaction and interaction with Jean-Pierre is really good. And you kind of get that idea that, you know, he's in it for the money, he says, but it's really the job that he's doing. It's not necessarily the money. So they have to find Gregor, and Jean-Pierre helps him with that. Jean-Pierre, by the way, is played by Michael Lonsdale, who is, I mentioned Munich the last time we spoke.
Mm-hmm.
He kind of plays a same-ish character in Munich, kind of like the guy that, you know, we need to find these people. How do we find them? And he's the guy that will provide the information. So give him a shout out there. He's the one that helps them find Gregor. And then, you know, Vincent and Sam go back to Paris. They're waiting. They see Gregor and Deidre and Seamus come out of the post office. Or no, they see Gregor and Seamus come out of the post office. Sam comes across Deidre waiting in the car. Sam comes across Deidre in the car, you know, and stops her. And then, you know, is trying to get her to get out of it. And she says, oh, you know you can't shoot me. And then she peels out, kind of leaving Sam. And then she picks up Seamus and Gregor. And Vincent comes and picks up Sam. And Vincent's like, why didn't you just shoot her? But we know why. Because he's got a soft spot for her, even if she did double cross them. And then this is our second car chase, and another one that's just incredible. It starts out in the city. They're driving through the city. They go into the tunnel. The tunnel chase is amazing.